I'm Steve Garrett, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about incidental motions. These are motions that generally have something to do, but not really an awful lot to do with the main motion. They are sometimes just administrative in nature. They generally require a second. They're not amendable, they're not debatable, and they require either a majority vote or sometimes just the ruling of the chair. One incidental motion is a motion to appeal. Sometimes this is a motion to appeal a decision of the chair. Sometimes it's a motion to appeal the decision of a vote. It's an opportunity for somebody to say, hey, I don't think that went quite right. I don't think you're following quite the right rules. I'd like to make a motion to appeal. They need a second because somebody else has to think that there's a problem. And oftentimes there's a majority vote, though the chair can rule on the appeal. A very powerful objection would be an objection to the consideration of the question at all. This is not a question that should even be before the board of directors. This is a question that shouldn't even be before the body. And it doesn't take a second. It doesn't require debate. It doesn't require an amendment. Can't take an amendment. But it does take a supermajority of 2/3 of the vote. And if they prevail, then the question isn't even considered anymore. It just kind of goes away. Another powerful motion, incidental, would be to say, I'd like to have a division. I make a motion that we have a division. And what a division means is that we're going to actually stand up and say yes, stand up and say no, or be counted. Sometimes you will say there's a division when the chair says, well, the ayes have it. And clearly the ayes didn't have it, or somebody thinks that the ayes didn't have it. So they can say, I'd like to make a motion for division. And if the motion for division, you get an actual count. Sometimes by people standing and saying, I'm an aye. Some people standing and saying, I'm a nay. Or sometimes by probably one of the most powerful incidental motions would be a motion to suspend the rules. I think we see that quite often in professional football games where somebody says, oh, we're going to suspend the rules. No, actually, in a meeting, there might be a time when the rules just are getting in the way of making a decision. And somebody can say, I'd like to make a motion that we suspend the rules. It does take a second. Not debatable, not amendable, but it does take a 2/3 majority vote. Well, there's some of my thoughts about the incidental motions that are very powerful, very helpful, and maybe quite often overlooked. If you like what I had to say, click that little like button down there. If you want to know what I have to say next, click the little subscribe button down there, and thank you for listening.